Hey guys and girls, welcome to another episode of Anti-Order. Hang on a sec, we've got a bit of a situation happening, a bit of sirens and stuff. Anyway, hope everyone's doing well. Today I'm out and about riding the streets of Cairns on my brand new Lynx. This is actually my first proper ride on it, and I thought I'd give my first impressions of the whole thing. So we're just making my way into town. I've got my friend May behind me. She's on the Segway GT. I've got a few scooters actually that I'm going to be reviewing on this channel, including the Inmotion Inmotion RS Lite, the Hurricane, the Dragon Hurricane. We've got a few that we're gonna be reviewing. But anyway, I just thought I'd check in and give you my first impressions on this wheel. As you probably know from my first video, I've learnt to ride Unicycle on a V14 Inmotion, and them things are absolutely a tank. So my first thoughts I wanted to cover on this wheel, in one word, if I could sum up the difference between moving from the V14 to this wheel, and don't get me wrong when I say this, the V14 is a very hard wheel to beat. It is just a weapon. I put that thing over a 40-foot drop into a gully ravine and it survived. It could not be in a worse location. That's where it went down, and I just lugged that 40-kilo wheel up all of that shit. I've hit 2 kangaroos with it at 60 k's an hour and it survived. It has cartwheeled across the road countless of times. I've had all my stacks, and they've been pretty decent stacks on that wheel, and it has not let me down once. It is an absolute tank, the V14. I highly recommend it. But I've watched a few videos on these wheels, and the Lynx seems to get a pretty good rap, so I thought, bugger it, I'm going to get one and find out for myself. Now, there's not many people in my town up in Cairns that are riding these things. This sport's very new up here. I've yet to see actually anyone riding one of these. So it's a little bit, there's no one to sort of ask questions or, you know, basically learn from. I had to do it all myself, which I guess kind of makes it a bit of a unique experience to sort of tell people about, especially when you are buying these things for the first time and you've never ridden one before. I would recommend the V14 as a good wheel for anyone who does want to first learn to ride. I'm not sure about the Lynx as being a first wheel because I've already sort of got my skills. I will say, first impressions on the Lynx, it's much smoother. It's a very, very, very smooth ride. Very smooth to turn. It's just smooth would be an all-round word for this wheel. It almost seems a little bit less effortless, or less effort to do things. Whereas the V14, you've really got to work the machine a bit more, and sort of, I'm not sure how to put it, but it's definitely a different experience on the V14 compared to the Lynx. And there are some things about this wheel straight off the bat that I don't really like. And the first thing I'll talk about is the leaning, which Possibly could be some settings that I've got wrong and I need to work on, but I'm not 100% sure. The Lynx is definitely a lot bigger wheel to ride, but I feel like when I'm going slower in traffic and there's people around, I feel like I have a lot more control on the Lynx than on the V14. I feel like the V14, you really need to work, especially when you're going slow, you really need to work your legs and work your core to make sure that you're going in the direction you want to go, especially when you're maneuvering around people or around obstacles. It is a lot more nimble, I will say. There are some maneuvers, I'm going to say, that I have successfully done on the V14 that I was unable to do as yet on the Lynx, which was just them crossings where you go past a railway crossing and they have like the little chicane area. I was unable to do that without grabbing onto things on the Lynx, but on the V14 I am able to make them turns. So it is a lot more nimble, but like I said, you really got to work it. Whereas the Lynx, there's less effort in it. It's a lot more just smoother ride. Another thing I've noticed is the suspension in this wheel is amazing compared to the V14. The V14, I mean, I do have another shock to put in the V14, and I will do a video on that once I get it in. But straight off the bat, I mean, I just bought this Lynx and literally I've done nothing to it. It does have some aftermarket pads on it, and I think that's it really. Foot pads I'm talking about, and apart from that it's just a stock wheel. And straight off the bat, as soon as I got on it, I noticed that it was just a much softer suspension, softer ride. I'm guessing this is because they are air shockies, which makes them, you know, a little bit more bouncy, whereas the V14 is a little bit more, they're a harder shock, much harder shock. Anyway, so shocky suspension, definitely feels smoother. The bigger wheel, I do notice I've got the knobby wheel on the top, or the knobby wheel on, and I do notice that wheel on very, very slow turns, and I'm talking like you're almost not moving, when you're trying to spin the wheel, it does tend to grip a bit on the bitumen, which does tend to make it harder to make them tight turns. So I'm just coming back, just had a bit of break there. One thing I have noticed with these wheels, when you're riding for long periods of time, your feet just go numb after a while. Literally, pins and needles numb. All right, we got green here. I just want to show you guys how effortless the maneuvering through people is. It's just even going slow, it's just very easy to cruise past and maneuver around crowds of people on this Lynx. And it's the same on the V14 too. I do like the V14 for going past people. I think we can go through this one. Yeah, we're still good, we're still good. But the Lynx just feels a lot more at slower speeds. If you're only making sort of slight adjustments, like sneaking past these people here, it just feels a lot more natural and easy. Whereas on the V14, when you're coming up to a slow sort of area like that, where there's a lot of people, you really need to work the machine to keep it going in the direction you want to go. Whereas with the Lynx, it just feels a lot more natural and easy. So on this Lynx, I have set up the acceleration assist to 100%. I have to say the acceleration assist on the Inmotion is far better than what I feel on the Lynx. The Lynx feels very rigid, it's just always standing up straight. It doesn't really lean that much. It does a little bit, like I have it set, I think, on about 60% for the hard and soft mode, which apparently is how you gauge how much it does move from that straight up sort of stance and how hard the pedals feel. So, but still, straight off the bat, that function I much prefer on the Inmotion. I think the ability to just lean forward a bit more when you want to accelerate, it really does just feel naturally like what should happen on one of these wheels when you want to accelerate hard. And same with braking. The braking on this, there is no assisted braking, so it doesn't tilt, well, not that I've noticed anyway, it doesn't tilt backwards. So I'm just driving around through a shopping centre car park at the moment, just sort of testing out how we go over these little speed bumps, which seems to go over them pretty fine. I hit a couple of bigger ones before, but it was similar to these small ones. Hang on, I think I boxed myself in here to find my way out. So I haven't really been able to check out how good this wheel accelerates, mainly because of the power pads that I'm using at the moment are just not that great. They're basically the same ones that I use on my V14. So guys, I guess I'm still just getting my bearings around this wheel and building up confidence to go fast. I've noticed a few little wobbles that have produced when I did get up to speeds of around 70 Ks. But yeah, them wobbles are obviously just a rider error, as it was the same on the V14. Wobbles are just a part of riding EUCs and something that you just need to get better at doing, or better at knowing how to ride them out is the best way to explain it. But I find, and I said this in another video before, but just by putting pressure on one foot, having a dominant foot always on the pad, tends to help me a lot with speed wobbles. All right, we're good. Where we go. See, like just tight turns like that are not as easy on the Lynx, from what I've found so far anyway. But it could just be something I need to learn, a skill I need to learn to do better on the Lynx, I don't know. Now my kids have asked me several times, which wheel do I like riding the most? And at the moment, I have to say that I do enjoy the V14 better than the Lynx, but there are a lot of things that I love about this Lynx wheel so far that you don't get on the V14. And I'm not saying that the Lynx is a bad wheel or a bad choice of wheel or anything like that. I'm just coming from a simple fact that I learned to ride on the V14, and so I'm sort of accustomed to that wheel. Just coming through there. So when I do jump to another wheel, obviously it's going to be different. Man, there seems to be a lot of ambulances cruising around today. It's interesting. Anyway, but the Lynx is definitely a much smoother ride. I will say that it's a nice wheel to ride. If you don't have a lot of energy and you don't really feel like working that hard, the Lynx is definitely a wheel for you. But for someone like me, I don't really mind working the wheel and working in general. So it's I don't mind the V14 in that respect. I like the nimbleness of it. So me and May have decided to do a ride from town all the way out to the beaches, which is about a 30k ride. It's a fairly decent hike, which I'm sure the Lynx will be fine. We gave it a bit of a charge before anyway, went and got some food, but the thing that I am worried about is the Segway. Just got to watch these intersections because you never know who's going to jump out in front of you. So we're still on our ride home. We're just going through the suburb of Brimsmead at the moment, going past one of the major highways. It's a very busy road here, so really got to watch the surroundings, make sure there's no one turning to us or anything. I will say, since I've been riding just today, that I've noticed my slow turning on this has dramatically improved. I just did a chicane back there without touching anything or without stepping off, so I take back what I said. You can actually do some tight moves on this thing. Like I said, this is my first ride, guys. Literally, I've had one little 5-minute sort of strap around my street, and that's it. This is my first proper ride. So I definitely feel this wheel is very comfortable for like a longer ride, just for the simple fact that the suspension is much more smoother. The wheel is physically bigger, so you just don't tend to feel them bumps and gutters and stuff as much as you do on the V14. So there's a lot less work that you actually have to do on this wheel. It's just sort of there under you, which is quite nice because you can just sort of enjoy the surroundings, take it in as it comes. One of the cool things about cruising along footpaths and stuff like that is you get to see like beautiful little gems like this little creek we're just going past. When you're in the car on the highway, you don't see this sort of stuff. So we're coming up to Red Lynch, which we're actually going to pull up at the Red Lynch Tavern here and just rest the feet, have a beer, and then we'll continue on to the rest of the way home. Be interesting to see where the battery's at on the Segway, because this will be officially the biggest trip I've done. See, there was a little bit of a close call there with a push bike rider coming in on that corner, very, very hot. But I was easily able to just maneuver around her on the wheel. Didn't even really give me a scare, to be honest. So that's sort of the comfort level that you have on these wheels. People think that when they see you riding these things that they think you're crazy because it's an accident waiting to happen, but they just don't understand how much control that you actually have. The steering, the brakes, the acceleration, it's all just in the lean, and it's so responsive. Plus you've got your hands free as well, you know, so if you do come off or if there is an accident, your hands aren't bound behind something. You're not sitting on a machine. You know, you can literally just step off. Choose your fall path, so to speak. But so far so good. We're coming up close to the red, which I am dying to step off this wheel because literally my feet are completely numb. I cannot feel my toes. Alright guys, we've just finished at our little stop at the Red Hat, Red Lynch there. And now we're pushing on to Smithfield next. It's our next destination. So far so good. Segway's sitting at 70% battery, which is surprisingly really well, to be honest. I'll switch this camera to behind. So I think we're getting close to around the 4 o'clock mark now, which I've been riding now for roughly, we've got 2 bike riders coming up here. Bit of a tight path, this one. Now we're coming up close to the highway. There's an interesting little detour. We got to cross an old bridge, which actually used to be the main bridge to go across the Barron River up here. So far, I'm absolutely loving this ride. Just so much different scenery that we cover when we go from town all this way. All right, now let's just make sure nobody jumps out or gets a fright. We end up bloody going into the water. Alrighty, and we have passed Red Lynch. We're coming into Lake Placid now. It's a beautiful area, this. I've dropped 3 bars so far on the Lynx. So I don't know what that is in percentage wise. It's a bit silly that they don't have the percentage on the screen. I think it's handy to always have a percentage of battery, just because after a specific percentage or a specific voltage, you don't really want to push your wheel too hard, because you're kind of in a danger zone where you've lost a significant amount of torque in the wheel. And if you throw yourself too far forward, too heavy, I mean, I have never done it, but it's possible that the wheel might not have enough power to keep you upright. So just had quite an interesting experience where I almost lost my camera. We just finished our little stop at Smithfield, got a drink of water, and I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I got a little ways down the road and realized that I didn't have my camera in my hand. And so lucky I know the guys down there at Smithfield, and I gave them a call and said, can you quickly check your footage and see what happened? And apparently somebody did pick it up and move it to sort of stash it outside. I don't know what was going on, but they ended up bringing it back in. So whoever that was, if you're watching this, Thank you for being just an honest, awesome person. Go buy yourself a lotto ticket, because I hope you win big. And we're finishing our last little leg of the trip. We're going through Smithfield. We're both buggered. May's buggered, I'm buggered, my legs are jelly. And it's been a long ride. We've been riding since, I think, since around 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock. So it has been a very long ride. I guess to sum up the video, my first impressions of the Lynx, I love it. It feels like a well-engineered piece of machinery. It feels smooth. It's really nice to ride. It's nice to turn. There is, I think, just a little bit of a learning curve to go around, but nothing too serious. How you going, boys? But it's a lot different to riding a smaller wheel, that's for sure. I can definitely feel the centrifugal force of the wheel when turning. It's a lot stronger, and I am starting to get used to it. So yeah, all in all, I think this, depending on what you're after, whether you're sort of city riding or racing or off-roading, I've never been off-road on this, I kind of think that I don't think this would go off-road just being so big. You definitely feel a lot taller on it, but it could go well, I guess, with a little bit of training. However, the V14 absolutely destroys the trails. I love that thing off-road, and I'll be doing another video soon of off-roading on that wheel. A few little tricky little turns here. Just got to watch for people, because sometimes there's push bikes or scooters or whatever flying around these corners, and that's how accidents happening. That's why if you're watching this and you ride a high-powered scooter, just stick to your lane. If you're coming down the hill, and you just stick to the, like you would be if you were driving a vehicle. Same goes for every blind corner, stick to your lane. If everyone does that, we'll avoid 90% of the collisions. And just slow down. Slow down a little bit on them corners, don't come in too hot. I always tend to slow down for blind corners, just because you never know. Anyway, it's been an awesome day riding. Absolutely love this machine. It's only done 3 bars down from a full battery. I did give it a little bit of a charge while we had lunch, which only would have been about 25 minutes on the charger. So the battery has well and truly lasted. I mean, my legs are just had it. I mean, I'm stopping at all these pubs, not because I want to have a beer, but because I literally have to stop, because my feet literally go numb. I get pins and needles in my toes, and once you get to you can't feel your feet, it starts to get, you can't feel the machine as good. You need to really be able to feel what's going on with the machine through your feet. So having them numb is a big no-no. But having a break here and there and having a beer is awesome. It's all part of the journey. So if you've liked what you've seen so far, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. I'll be doing a lot more reviews and just general riding around different areas of Cairns and the surrounding areas, all the different tracks and trails, high-powered scooters or unicycles, anything like that. I don't mind having a play with. So guys, I'm almost home. I'm on the home stretch. I'm done, I'm wrecked. I'm ready to just chill on the lounge, watch a bit of telly. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining with me, and we will see you for the next one. Peace.